Hello, everyone. I hope my I hope my video is much better this time because I remember when I came live the other time, it wasn't too good. So it's anyway. I'm glad that I'm here and I'm in my car, so that's an opportunity to for me to kind of focus and have time to, kind of talk about understanding behavior and communication. So, this is what I'm gonna start with. And this discussion is actually from my book and my experience, in case you're new here. So I would like to say that, most parents think that behavior is about being good or bad. But here's the truth that I want you to know is that, every behavior that you notice in your child, either good, either bad, either typical, either your child has some kind of disability, it's a way for them to communicate. Every behavior is a form of communication, right? So if you know how to read it, how to read the behavior, how to get to know the behavior, you will understand exactly what your child needs, right? Because once you're able to understand your child, the behavior will reduce. So, even if they are not able to use words, right? Once you're able to pinpoint how the behavior is going, if you're able to understand why your child is acting this way, I believe that there will be a shift in how you get to provide support for them or how you're able to provide for their needs. Hello. Hi. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to Unlocking Minds on Autism. Anyway, you're welcome. So thank you for joining me here. And I'm in my car because having to do a video at home is like, my kids are home, so I just want to focus on what I want to talk about. So welcome to Unlocking Minds on Autism. Here we discussed about typical children and also our kids living with some kind of disabilities, be it autism, most especially autism, because I'm a mom of three. I have two who are currently living with autism. No, I don't speak German. Okay. So thank you for joining me here. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have my book right here. So my book is right by my side. Now, if you have ever felt, confused, frustrated, overwhelmed, um, perplexed, if you've ever felt any way other than being excited, I'm telling you, you will really appreciate, you know, how you really need to understand your child's behavior, because what is going to help you do is going to help you when you're in that situation. It's going to help you think about what is really going on with my child. Why is my child acting this way? Which is what we want to talk about today, which is the puzzle that we're looking to kind of work on today, this afternoon. So thank you for joining me one more time. Hi, hello. Please let me know where you're joining from. So, from this book, I have Understanding Behavior and Communication. This is what I have. I'm not sure if you can see it. Hopefully you can see it, right? So today I will provide you with 3 steps that can help you to decode your child's behavior so that you're able to respond with some kind of confidence when you notice some, any behavior at all. That will help you um, to get to respond to them confidently, and your kids will definitely find that very helpful. Now, I remember when Daniel was young, and he had a couple of behaviors. It really took us to the time where, when you've noticed a lot of behavior with your child, you will get to a point and you want to know why your child is acting that way, the way they were acting. So when Daniel was little and we're new to autism diagnosis, of course, he will cry all day. Most of the time, he's always crying. And there was this particular day that he was crying. And at that time, he had, a lot of gastro issues going on. When he goes to the bathroom for number two, it looks somehow. And we were really concerned, But there was this particular day that he cried so much that it was very tired. And I was thinking, like, how do I help? How do I support? Because, sometimes we feel sad when we see our children in a state where they're unable to communicate, and you feel like, okay, how can I help you? But they're unable to communicate because Daniel, at that time, of course, was nonverbal. The only thing he uses was his AAC device, which is an augmentative alternative communication device. I'm sorry, my alarm came up. So that is what Daniel used to communicate. But then when he was younger, he did not have access to that iPad. So he couldn't communicate that much. So he will cry every time. And then this day I pulled him, very close to me, and I held him very tight. Unknowingly to me, I didn't know that was what they call deep pressure these days. And it felt really calm. And I could see the I could feel like, if it felt that deep pressure on his body, and that helped him a lot. Hello. And that helped him a lot, to understand that, hey, mom is here to give you some support, and mommy is also here to apply some deep pressure on your body. And like I said, unknowingly to me, I didn't know that was what they call deep pressure, but I just tried to kind of massage his body, and over time it got better. So what I'm trying to um share tonight is that there is a reason why your child is behaving that way. Even if they do not have words, or even if they have words, sometimes they have um they wish they can communicate to you. So that means that they know what to say, but it's really hard for them to say, this is how I feel. Daniel had no words at that time, and it was really hard to say, hey, mom, my tummy hurts, or I feel some gastro issues, or this is how I feel, or I need you to hug me, I need you to hold me tight. That was something that we literally have to figure out by ourselves. So, we're going to learn about 3 things, like I shared with you today. One is that I am going to let you understand what I learned from that situation. So during that situation, what I learned was that take time to really understand your child. I know it's a lot of work. Sometimes you literally have to sit down and study your child, know who your child is, know their likes, their dislikes, know how they respond, know how they communicate. Some children or some child may need some gesture to communicate to you. Some, for those that can use words, which is much better, I mean, it's not like it's much better, but that way you're able to understand, right, when they use words. But for those that do not have words, when they gesture, when they cry, those are the ways that you try to figure out, okay, what is going on with my child. Then you need to know deeply what your child is communicating to you. Communication is very, very, very important. And once you get to know that child, it's like a couple, right? When they live together, you want to know your partner's needs. You want to know how they communicate. You want to know how they show love. You want to know what are their likes, what are their dislikes. So for our children as well, I think it's very key and important for us to really, really deep dive in and understand, our children. Once you have that understanding about your child, it's going to be a game changer. That I know for sure. So, so I'm going to go. The first point I'm going to list out to you from this book is that observe without judgment, right? Like I shared, you have to really take time to observe your child, learn about your child, know their personality. I have two on the spectrum. One is verbal, none is non-verbal. I understand how both of them communicate, right? They communicate in two different ways. Dara is able to communicate, no, I don't like it. Daniel is not able, but he can use his AAC device to let you understand, right? So those are two different ways of communicating. So observe your child and observe without judging them, right? So what does that mean? It means you're going to watch for patterns of behavior, time of the day, what triggers, and the people that are present at the time of the behavior. So that is very key. I remember that last week, my kids, they were in camp, and they called me from the camp and they told me that, dad was having a hard time to follow directions. She was crying. She wouldn't listen to them. And this is a new camp for Dara. So when they called me the first day, I felt like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I cannot leave work and go pick her during the day. And they said, oh mom, that's okay, you can come pick her, later, closer to close time. And then the next day, which is a Friday, they called me and they said that today she was having a hard time, if there's a way I can pick up early. And that really took me like, okay, this is the second time you're calling me. I cannot just drive down immediately, because I told the speaker that once we start that pattern, Dara will likely continue to engage in that behavior, so that mom can come pick me up, because she knows that mom will show up immediately, that mom can come pick me up, or she will continue with that behavior, and then she will just continue, and then she will have that in mind, that every time they will call my mom to speak to me. So I told her, I said, I need to speak with Dara. And right on the phone, I spoke to Dara and I said, is anything going on? She said, no. Okay, what is going on? Then I said, okay, I want to talk to your coach. And I spoke to the coach. She was like, okay, what can we do to help her? And I said, that's a good question, right? I said to her, I said, she's having a meltdown. She's going through something right now. So please, just no demands, no requests, right? Because she's having a meltdown. You don't want to ask her, do you want to eat? Do you want to drink? Do you want to sleep? Take off all requests and just allow her to self-regulate, right? You allow her to have that time while you're keeping on her and high on her, because of course you don't want her to get to the point where she will hurt herself, but you want to allow her to self-regulate. And then she will, when the self-regulation is over, then she will move on and she'll be fine. And when I told her, the lady was like, oh, okay, I think that's going to be helpful for us. And then I told her, I said, text me later and let me know how it goes with that. And 1 hour, 30 minutes after, I texted, I said, what's going on, coach? Any update? And she told me, she said, it worked perfectly for her. And she said, exactly what she said was what we did. And Dara was fine. So we went back to pick her at about 3:30. You wouldn't even know that she had a behavior earlier. So yes, observe your child, know their likes, their dislikes, while, know their personality. That way you are able to fully understand what kind of behavior, what patterns, what time of the day does the behavior occur. For Dara, it's in the afternoon that we see most of this behavior, right? Most in the afternoon, early afternoon. And it's due, sometimes it's due to change. And we've noticed the pattern. So once you already know that this is how my child does, this is when it occurs, the time of the day that the behavior occurs, the time, the place, and who are the people also around your child when the behavior is occurring. That's another thing that you also need to take note of. Because if you have people that do not really have experience with behavior, they're going to be like, oh, your child is having behavior because she's spoiled, because, they're going to come up with different excuses, and you don't want your child to be around those kind of people. So the next one I'm going to talk to you about is look for the message behind the action. I think I already shared something about this, like behavior, any kind of behavior, right, is a form of communication, right? So one of the things that I'm going to share with you is when you see your child throwing toys, throwing tantrums, having meltdown, running away, covering their ears, that is something. If you see your child covering their ear, what will you think about? It's like, okay, it's too noisy. That's one thing that will come to your mind. So it's important for you to know and be able to identify that thing. What does that thing that my child does? She's telling me something about that. When you see any reaction from your child, then they're trying to communicate something. So be sure that you note that, look for the message behind the action. And thirdly, respond to the need, not just the behavior. So what I mean by that is that you have to adjust to the environment. You teach alternative ways, communication method, you know, for your child to use. So the you're going to respond to the need of your child. For example, if you see your child, kind of like covering their ears, you don't want to respond to the behavior, but to the need of, okay, maybe I need to lower the TV volume. Maybe I need to lower the whatever noise is around me. Maybe I need to switch an environment. Maybe it's sensory stimulation. Maybe because my child see a lot of people and she's like, oh wow, that's too much people. I cannot cope. If that is the case, try to do whatever thing you can help your child with. Like I said, attend to the need of your child and not the behavior. Hi, thank you for joining. Thank you. Please let me know where you're joining from. Thank you. All right. So then another thing I also want to talk to you about is that if you feel like, okay, this short video that I shared with you, sorry, I'm outside the home, so that's why you see me just looking around. If you feel like this is kind of very helpful to you, and you think that this is, that's something to truly consider, I have a book here, that I highlighted some of these things. It's called Becoming Resilient. This is written by me, right? I highlighted why behavior happened. I mean, which I already shared with you here. I highlighted it could be a reaction to change, seeking attention, so many things. And I also have here, communication differences, the differences in communication for kids who are able to communicate using words, and for kids who are not able to communicate, they use gestures, they cry. There are so many ways of communication. I have it right here. And then tips for behavioral positive, um, tips for supporting uh, positive behavior and communication. I have it here. I said observe and record, right? I said create predictability, celebrate success. I put a lot of words in here. And I also have the workbook, just in case you've tried those things that have been highlighted in this book and maybe they didn't work for you. You can write it at the back and in a mini book. I have some activities in the mini book that I feel like is going to be helpful too. I have, how my child communicates. Now you're taking notes, you're taking account of, this is how my child communicate. Does a child communicate using verbal speech? Does he or she communicate using gestures, crying, PECs, using AAC device, which I shared with you? Daniel uses an AAC device. Now that is growing. Facial expression. Some kids, they don't need to tell you. You can tell from their face that everything is not okay, right? And then sign language. I talked about that. Using sign language like more, or saying I'm hungry. I mean, those are the words. Those are the ways that I would say our children communicate. It's the most important thing that I would say is that you need to take a look at your child's strength. Get to know your child. How does he or she communicate? That will be a game changer. I'm telling you. Because even before the behavior occurred, you're able to pick on some of the things which we'll call triggers. You're able to pick some triggers. I think picking triggers will help you know how to better address the behavior. For example, you already know that your child, maybe you have so many people, that could be a trigger. And the behavior will be, maybe I'm covering my ears, or I'm throwing tantrum, or I want to escape from the room. Maybe the consequence will be like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore, then I have to be out. So those are the things that you need to take note of. And for most parents, even for typical children, I would suggest that you have like a book, like a diary, or a place where you note those things down. And that is why I said um it's really something that has to be written. If for me, if it's not written, it's not done. That's what I believe in. If it's not written, it's not done. So that's why I created the mini workbook as well, so that you're able to take account, you're able to take note of how do I know my child enough? Do I know my child do I know my child enough? Keeping behavior journals, right? I was with one of my clients recently, and they were sharing with me a couple of behaviors that they noticed in their child. And I said to mom, I said, do you have any data to back up your claim? Because I am very big on data. I don't know, maybe because, I mean, maybe that's because of my professional experience, but I'm very big on data because data will provide you with a pattern of how the behavior has been going. Like the the what's it called? The data will provide you with what time of the day the behavior occurred, what happened, how did you address it, who was there when the behavior occurred. So those are the things that when you take data, you're able to know how to address that particular behavior that is occurring. I'm very big on data. So when you have a book like this, you're able to put it down into writing. Okay, this is what this is what my child did in the morning, this is what occurred in the afternoon, this is how I addressed it. And then you're keeping track, and as you begin to see those patterns, then you will know that this is okay, this is how I'm able to address the behavior, and then this is how I get to know my child better. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope I'm able to share, a little bit of both professional and then, of course, my family or personal experience, because I feel like this is really relatable. This is something that most parents of young children will relate with. When you have a child, be it typical or a child with disability, I am telling you that they will one way or the other show some kind of behavior, right? They will show it. And then I really don't want, I know it's very tiring. I know it's very tiring when you see your child acting up, or when they begin to act on the behavior. It can be draining. But another thing I will encourage you to do is stay calm. Stay calm, really calm, because two people cannot be upset, two people cannot be mad. I definitely get it. Staying calm will help your child to understand that mom is in control. I need to take it easy. I need to take it easy on myself. So that is what staying calm will help you do. And and as you continue to support your child will get a drift, and then they begin to understand that this is how my mom do help with my behaviors. And sometimes they can, our children, they're not able to help or control their behavior, because I mean, this is like something related to sensory, and they're trying their best. So I will encourage us to you know keep calm when you notice a couple of those behaviors, and then seek for support from your team, whoever that you have as a part of your team. Either you have a case manager, either you have a family that you need to vent to. They are part of your team, and these people will be there to support you, either with kind words, with prayers, with strategies that can be helpful. You can also, I believe in having a big team, and I think that's one of the videos that I shared yesterday, about community resources and having a team. uh, Having a team is very, very important. It takes a village to raise a child, and the same thing with, it takes a village um to raise kids with either typical or living with disability. It takes a village, because you need that someone that you can vent to. You need that person that will be able to provide some kind of support, admonition, or encouragement to you when you're going through those moments. When your child is having those moments or those meltdown. I hope this was helpful to you. Please do well to subscribe and follow for more, and I will see you in my next video. Please keep in mind that I have this book on Amazon. I have the link on my YouTube channel. It's called Becoming Resilient, and it's From Diagnosis to Direction: A True Mom's Journey to Clarity and Support. Please find the link in my profile. You'll find the link as soon as you go on my YouTube channel. You'll find the link, and I hope that you find this video very helpful for you and your family. I commit you to the hands of God. I pray all is well with you and your children and your family. In Jesus' mighty name, I have prayed. Amen. Thank you, and I will see you. Have a good one. Bye bye.